DJ, does the number 145 mean anything to you?
No idea.
All right, so the number 145 is the temperature change that I am going from 2 weeks ago from my honeymoon in Cancun to what the low wind chill is going to be tonight. That is the difference in temperature, 145 degrees. I don't think the human body's made to put up with this.
I mean, this shit we have going on, I don't know if Ben has this going on, but this weather we have going on here is just astronomical. It's crazy.
It's terrible, man.
It's not that bad here in Colorado. It snowed a little bit, but otherwise it's fine.
Oh man, you are so lucky. My body is like not reacting well. I went from being like suntan one day to now I'm just itching off these layers of skin and I'm back to being this pasty white dude. So that's how my life's going. But let's get this puppy started. DJ, you got a beer?
Yep.
Let's get loaded, because if you remember right, this is the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first, because we finish last.
Thank you once again for tuning in to the Loaded Box Podcast. We are your hosts, Ben Morgan and DJ Primo. However, it is the Super Bowl, and that means we bring out the best of the best, and that means we are going to be joined by on-air radio guy, on-air TV guy, and an alleged raccoon tamer, Ben Allbright. Ben, what the hell is going on, my man?
I heard that guy was handsome.
Pretty bad.
The best thing is when you show up on the YouTube version, it's just that picture that you have where you're like all dressed up in your suit and tie and everything. What are you like?
Right.
What could you actually be wearing right now? There's no way you're on our podcast. Me and DJ are wearing sweats. There's no way you're wearing a suit and tie.
I'm not even wearing pants.
I'm so glad that's perfect. That goes along. I'm upset that we're wearing shirts now.
No kidding. If it was Sunday, we wouldn't be. Like we said in the quick intro there, it is freaking beyond cold. There's a wind chill of negative 65 where DJ and I are located right now in Wisconsin. Ben, I need to ask you this. Have you ever been to a Super Bowl?
I have, several.
Have you ever been to one in a cold weather? Were you in the one in New York? Were you in the one up in the Minneapolis area?
Yeah.
How did the weather and everything play out for that entire week? So everyone says basically the Super Bowl is like this week-long experience where it's things leading up to it. Does the weather really play a big factor? Because if there was a Super Bowl right now in the Northern Hemisphere, no one's doing anything outside. That would be ridiculously terrible.
Right. It's one of those things that you don't like to go outside and do stuff. It doesn't affect the teams per se. If it's colder, it keeps them from going out and I think spending time in places they shouldn't be spending time in. But other than that, it's fine.
Oh, so maybe it's an advantage then to have a cold weather Super Bowl if you've got some team with some players that are maybe wouldn't spend the best quality time with their free time. Is what you're saying.
Right.
Nice. Well, this is our final preview before Super Bowl 53. We're going to dive into that with Ben amongst several other things that we have prepared for that. So, Ben, I got to ask you, are you ready to get loaded?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, right away, I think DJ has a question he wants to run by you as we get some things started here.
So I don't know if you remember how our whole interaction got started before the first podcast, but I have to ask you, first and foremost, now that the NFL season is over, is Case Keenum bad?
No.
Why not?
He's not. We can sit there and say certain things all day, but at the end of the day, he's just a guy. He's not great. He's just not bad. He's just a guy.
And
I think the main thing to remember is that Case Keenum was the number 5 quarterback in the NFL in terms of passer rating off of play action. This past season. It's just they just don't use him right, and that's the thing. I've been trying to tell everybody, they just don't use this guy right. So that's the reason the coaching staff and the offensive coordinator were fired, is just because they flat out do not use him correctly. So it ends up being a scenario where you've got a bad offense that just doesn't play to the strengths of their players, and ultimately this is what happens. At Case Keenum, we've seen you can win with him. We've seen this. We watched it in Minnesota. He's an okay quarterback, but he's not Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers. He's just also not Brock Osweiler.
I don't think any anybody's Brock Osweiler. That's like a whole nother level that we should even. That's like the bottom of the barrel. So you don't think like that 18 to 15 touchdown ratio doesn't make him a bad quarterback no matter what kind of offense you're in? Touchdown to interception ratio?
Like flat out, like Case Keenum is not a bad quarterback. Like he got put in crap situations where they tried to have him throwing vertical and out of an offense that he's just not designed to do. And that's what I'm trying to tell you is like he's stuck in it. He was stuck in an offense last year that absolutely finds what he is worst at and tried to run that a bunch of times. And that's stupid. Like I just do not understand what Bill Musgrave was doing. As far as that stuff goes, because it was just flat out stupid.
And what I find amazing about that, just to kind of flip it, is how much of a difference there was with Kirk Cousins in the Minnesota offense. It's like they used him incorrectly, not the way they should use him. So it was like the opposite of like, it's almost like Kirk Cousins should have ended up in Denver and Keenum should be in Minnesota.
I mean, kind of, like the Bill Musgrave offense is designed to go vertical. It doesn't use play action. Everything's out of the shotgun. It's just who it is. It's perfectly designed for a guy like Derek Carr. But the reality is that when you get a quarterback like Case Keenum, whose tools limited, he's just not cut out to be that guy. And so what ends up happening is you're trying to overcompensate by putting him in situations where he can try to throw up the seam, and it just didn't work. Like you had Broncos receivers that were rookies. You had a whole bunch of stuff going on it was just bad across the board. And, I don't understand why you get so many people that thought that offense was going to be okay for him or something, because it just wasn't. It's just a bad fit for him.
But ultimately, that's not the future quarterback of the Denver Broncos. Am I right?
No, he's the tide me over this year, but that's not the future.
No, not at all.
And I was going to ask this later when we talk a little bit, have a different topic here, but this segues well because of the whole, like what you just said with the future. Ben, with your connections there in Denver and with what you personally think, is there any fire to that smoke about John Elway being like overwhelmed by Drew Lock and that being his main guy that he wants to target?
Yeah, I've been reporting that since December.
Right.
It's funny to me that everybody's now catching on to it.
Yeah.
I've been reporting that since December. That's nothing
No.
new.
I guess here's a question I wanted to ask you specifically, Ben. And the question is, how do you think that you watch football differently than most? And what I mean by that is, what type of things do you watch for? What are you looking for in a game by specific players that maybe the everyday football fan might be missing when they're watching a game?
I'm not just looking at did they make the catch. I'm looking at, did the quarterback put that guy in the best position to win, And that's really what it's about. It's not, it's a question of whether or not that quarterback is doing the best thing that he can in an effort to, to put his receivers in position to, to excel, rather than just a scenario where, guys are catching balls that are thrown wildly all across the place. I'm looking to see if anything's disjointed. I'm looking to see if, the best way to put this, if the offense is flowing or if it feels like it's stuck. That's really what I'm looking for.
Gotcha. DJ, how do you watch football? Usually with a beer in your hand?
I mean, I just kind of sit back and throw in the red zone, have my hand on my pants, and just smash some beers. Seems like a little way to watch it, right?
Nice. DJ, what do you got for Ben?
So you went to the Senior Bowl this weekend, as we talked about beforehand. Who stood out and why? Locke obviously was one of the guys that stood out. Yep. He stood out just because the ball flew off his hand. He was a guy that you could clearly see was, was stronger armed than everybody else. Other guys that stood out, the center from North Carolina State looked pretty good. I would suggest that that Montez Sweat was pretty good, a little stiff at times, but overall pretty good. Who else? The linebacker from NC State also. Pratt looked pretty good. I thought Reiser looked pretty good. Out of the receivers, Andy Isabella had a terrible week of practice, but he showed up in the game.
So that was good for him. Penny Hart had a great week of practice and wasn't anywhere to be found in that game. So it's just interesting to see the ebb and flows of that stuff. Tyree Jackson looked like Brock Osweiler 2.0. I don't know why anybody would have, where anybody would have had that dude, out there pretending he was the thing. But there were guys online that were trying to pretend like he was something, and I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Just in how that ended up working. So, I thought that overall most of the guys were the reports that you saw coming out of practice were pretty accurate. I thought that I didn't think that, like I said, those guys looked very good, but whatever.
Yeah. Ben, you can either answer this question honestly and tie it to a good story, or you can just say pass and we'll move on. But do you have any good party stories from the Senior Bowl, or was it strictly business while you were there?
I mean, it was pretty strictly business this time.
You can go back to the past. We won't limit you to this year.
I mean, there's some stuff I don't really want to get too into. Just because maybe some other time. Like I don't want to get into that right now.
Oh man! All right, we're gonna hold you to that. Maybe you have to be off air sometime.
There's some time that I'll go ahead. Why not? Most of it everybody knows anyway.
Fair enough.
A couple of years back, one of the Ryan brothers and Todd Haley caught me in a minivan in the parking lot outside a bar. That was pretty funny. We'll just leave it at that.
Just leave it at that.
That's actually that's an intimidating thing. Like the Ryan brothers outside of a minivan, outside of a bar.
It was Rob Ryan and Todd Haley, and they caught me in a minivan with a soccer mom, and it was not a. Not a
there we go. That's perfect. So I don't even know how to follow up on that, but that sounds like a hell of a good time. Did you drive all the way there?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
And all the way back?
Yes.
And you just got back today?
No, I got back a couple of days ago.
And
I didn't stay for the game.
Oh, you did not stay for the game. Gotcha. I thought for some reason that you did. You drove all the way by yourself?
Yes.
What did you do? What was your music? What was your jams? What did you have going on while you were driving?
Every ridiculous album out there I had rolling. So, if it was something that hair metal band played in the 80s, I probably had it going.
Were you like just rocking back and forth and just all over the fucking road or what?
Well, I took the top off on the way down.
Wait, was this a soccer mom again?
No, I've got a convertible.
Nice. Ben, have you ever used a bidet?
No, I actually never have.
Oh man, I have to tell you this one. I just got back from my honeymoon about 2 weeks ago. We went to Cancun, had one in our suite, and I was just pumped to use it. And then something happened in my system where I just couldn't use it for the longest time. So finally, it happens, and I'm just super pumped. And that entire trip, we're in Cancun, as DJ knows, I don't do well in an uncomfortable place. So Mexico, me, water, tequila, the combination of all that just doesn't mix. Swimming, all that. So I'm being super careful. I'm not drinking any of the water, obviously. I'm watching what I'm eating. I'm even showering carefully, making sure that no water gets in my mouth. So this bidet happens, and I'm getting ready, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the things that you switch for the water to come on. So I'm down by it, and I turned the handle, and I underestimated how much pressure was going to come out of that thing. The freaking bidet water shot up into my face and into my eye. So I go from being this most careful person in Mexico to all of a sudden thinking shit, I just got some sort of Mexican pink eye. And sure as shit, I get back from Mexico. What happens? I get an eye issue. It ended up not being related somehow, but the fact that all that happened, I just want to warn you, if you ever get the chance, since you haven't before, be freaking careful, man.
Well, you're talking. You said bidet. I didn't realize you were talking about that. I didn't realize you guys were talking about the little toilet-shaped water fountain down there that you drink out of.
That's literally what I tried to do with that damn thing. Oh my gosh, just an issue, man. DJ, have you ever had the opportunity of using one?
Honestly, I'm highly considering buying a bidet because I'm not scared to share my stories here. and my issues. I'm having the worst ass itching problems as a 32-year-old. Or 31-year-old. I don't know, Ben. You're older than I am. If you've went through if you've went through the ass itching stage in your life, but it is struggling, and I need a bidet to clean my asshole out right now. It's bad. I don't know. Have you been there?
I have not. I use the wet wipes.
I just bought some wet wipes.
I'm the wet wipes guy. I've used the wet wipes, so
that's a genius idea. I'm hoarding wet wipes right now.
That's a great thing to hoard. All right, DJ, you got any? What's your next one for Ben here? Let's fire away.
Let's go back to the college theme. I know you're a quarterbacks guy, so who is your top quarterback coming into the draft, and where do you think he's going to go, but where would you take him?
The top quarterback in this draft?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's probably Haskins, and I would probably take him if I were the Giants. After that, it's lock. But, I'm not trying to – this quarterback class is not very good, overall. If that's what we're getting at. This quarterback class is pretty trash.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. It's not it's not good. It's not something that I would be excited about.
Okay, so follow up with that. What about a QB that you got to have one QB that may surprise everyone? So kind of a sleeper QB, so to say, in the college basketball terms, that could surprise everybody a few years down the road.
In this class, Easton Stick might get a little run. There's just not a lot of good ones. Jones might be a guy that might turn into something later. God, who else is?
Do you have any
Anderson? Maybe if you're looking for a sleeper out of Murray State. I mean, I'm digging deep here.
Yeah, that's really deep.
They're just guys.
Do you have any hope for Will Grier?
Oh, good Lord, no.
I saw him missing. What do you think about Kyler Murray?
Now, wait a minute. If you don't like Case Keenum, why do you want Case Keenum 2.0?
Hey, that was DJ ripping on Case Keenum.
Yeah, I don't like Case Keenum.
I've got a soft spot in my heart for Will Grier because he was literally the only capable quarterback that the Florida Gators have had since Tim Tebow. And being a Gators fan, I want him to succeed, but I just don't know. Going into West Virginia, and he seemed to throw a bunch of interceptions. I don't know if the arm talent's there. I don't know if the decision making's there. I want it to be good. I feel like I'm just wanting it too much, and it's never going to come to fruition in the NFL. And he skipped his bowl game. Like, of all people to skip a bowl game, Will Grier?
Yeah, that's not the one.
No, I don't get that.
Chief. What about so let's talk about what about Kyler Murray? What do you think about Kyler Murray?
I think that I don't want somebody that's Cole Beasley's size as my quarterback.
Do you think that may be a little overplayed with the Russell Wilson and the Baker Mayfields and the Drew Breeses nowadays in the NFL? Just get them on the move, kind of,
No, I think that the first thing that I have been a short, fast quarterback, and I can tell you that, being a short, fast quarterback is real fun until you get caught.
Yeah.
Then it's not fun.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'10". So I'm an inch taller than that dude.
Jeez.
Yeah, I doubt that you were fast. I'm gonna be honest.
I was a 4'6" guy.
I don't like to go, and I'm gonna have to say it, but you're white, so I don't know if you can be fast legally.
Obviously, those are the rules.
Those are the rules that we have to abide by.
I had the Arkansas 2A state rushing record for a quarterback until some nobody ever heard of named Darren McFadden came along and broke my record.
What an asshole. Hey, didn't he just get, wasn't he like sleepy in a drive-thru?
Yeah, he got a DWI for the Whataburger drive-thru.
I mean, who hasn't fallen asleep in some kind of burger drive-thru at some point in their lives? They should just get a free pass for that.
Yes. Ben, I have to ask you, Ben, what was with your boy Adam Gase in that opening press conference with the Jets?
Oh, they just had the bright lights from the cameras on, all shining down there. That's what it was. It wasn't any big deal.
I can get behind the idea of it maybe not being a big deal, but like, what is management and ownership thinking after seeing that? Especially my favorite, and I mean, you get a meme when he's like chasing around a taco with his wide eyes.
Hilarious.
Right? Yeah, all the meme stuff was he got something. But hey, guys, listen. I got a call I got to take real quick. It's going to take about 15 minutes. Can we put a pause in here and come back to it?
Absolutely. You just come back to this link when you're ready.
Sorry about that. It's real important. He's just texting me now, and it's going to take about 10, 15 minutes. I'll just I hit you guys back, and then you can edit this together. Or...
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me do this real quick. I'll get back to you, okay?
Sounds good. All right, DJ, you know what that means.
I'm gonna make him break news. Hopefully on this podcast.
Hopefully we do that. Well, hey, now me and you just have to talk straight up Super Bowl. We haven't even gotten to that far with Ben on it yet, and I do want to save the final. I do want to save the final prediction for when Ben is back. However, since we like to talk a lot of gambling on this one, have you been able to look at any of the prop bets yet?
All I know is I'm going to bet on the coin flip.
That's weak. You got to go like a little deeper. Because we had a listener question that was, you need to pick who's scoring the first touchdown of the game. And I actually wrote, I wrote an article. It's getting released Wednesday on www.loadedboxpodcast.com, releasing that puppy on Wednesday. I don't hit this specific question, but I looked at so many and I did a lot of research looking on it. I know what my answer is, but if you needed to pick exactly who is going to score the first touchdown, who do you got?
If I'm going to go for odds sake, I've got to go with C.J. Anderson.
It's not a bad choice.
Just because, I don't know what the fuck is up with Todd Gurley. It weirds me out what he's doing here. And it seems like that would be one of the best odds for a guy that I can get that's playing a lot. I feel like they could just unleash Todd Gurley in this game. But just with what we've seen in the two playoffs games, it seems like C.J. Anderson should be the pick. Otherwise, James White, right? Because he scores 1 million touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
See, that's who I was behind. I was thinking, all right, so my theory on this one is that the Rams are actually going to get the ball first. It might be a 3 and out. It might be 2 possessions.
Where does that theory come from? How can you just have a theory that the Rams get the ball first?
You're going to have to read my article that drops on Wednesday, loadedboxpodcast.com. You have to read that and you'll understand what I'm getting at here.
I already hate it.
Oh, you'll love it. And then I think the Patriots actually score on that first possession, and I'm with you. I like either Sony Michel or James White, and I'm looking at just like some different odds. I think I went to the wrong one here. But neither of them are like the great. But like you don't want to pick a guy like Gerald Everett or Josh Reynolds. I mean, you can. You're going to get the best payoff with one of those guys. But I think your strategy with this one, key in on which team you think you're going to score, and then take a guy that's not like the best odds, but not also the worst odds. So that's why I think I would probably go with James White, because I think Sony Michel, the odds just aren't quite there for me.
Pretty sure there's some stat that the Patriots haven't scored in the first quarter of a football game a touchdown for like an incredible amount of time.
Yeah,
so I think you're on the wrong side here.
Hey, you know what they say though? There's got to be a first time for everything.
Yeah, I think based off your theory, you might be wrong here. We have time. What's it called? Like when a government person just goes on a rant for a long time.
Oh, filibustering. We're filibustering.
We're filibustering right now, right?
Yeah.
Because apparently we don't have the ability to pause. And that's the best thing about the Loaded Box podcast. Let's be honest. There's nothing better than the fact that we used to be able to pause, but Ben has so much shit going on, like in the background, that he just can't. I'm pretty sure we have the ability to pause, but
we just don't.
We just don't. So we're just gonna keep fucking going until he calls his ass back in or whatever it is.
That's the best thing, because he's like, "Oh, you can edit this together," and without hesitation, yep, absolutely, knowing damn well that we were never pausing. Like that wasn't gonna happen, Ben. I love it.
The same link when he comes back.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same exact thing. I want to stick on that betting trend, but let's get to that one other listener question, and then we'll hop back into betting of that game. Who is your first pick as of right now in PPR fantasy football redraft leagues?
I mean, it has to be Todd Gurley, and I don't even think that's a question, because you can't just take the guy who single-handedly won. Like, I hate Todd Gurley owners because they just didn't understand what it was like to not have a guy scoring 30 fucking points every single week. But I love the end of the season for them because they got to suffer through a loss in the playoffs. But, like, they just got so spoiled. It frustrated me so much. But yeah, it's Todd Gurley. Like, he's going to be healthy by the time next season. How much you want to bet Todd Gurley has a surgery in this offseason?
Oh, I think Todd Gurley has surgery on Monday. Right after the Super Bowl.
I bet you anything he has surgery. But yeah, Todd Gurley. I mean, just the way they use him. They use him in the pass game. They use him in the run game. He's indispensable. It's not even close. I want to take Le'Veon Bell, but who the fuck knows where he ends up?
So I'm with you on Gurley. I can't make the mistake again of just saying, "Oh, that was a 1 year thing." He's got.
There's one other guy.
Well, this is I think where I'm going to say. How close is Saquon Barkley for you?
Yeah, that was the other guy. He's fucking close.
Yeah, and because and I don't want to get it twisted. Like everyone thinks I was such a non-believer. It's not that I didn't believe. No, I would have been fine with
it. We heard it. We know.
I would have been fine with Saquon Barkley. I would have been fine with Saquon Barkley around after where he was going. I just didn't want to take that kind of a chance when I saw so many other guys that looked like sure things.
It wasn't a chance. I told you it wasn't a chance. You were the idiot that wanted to take David Johnson and all that other stuff out of him.
I did.
So Saquon Barkley all day, every day for me.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be 1 and 2 right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't even think that's really that close. Where do you think Aaron Jones ends up going? He's got to be a first rounder, right?
I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take him in the first round.
That's stupid. Then you're dumb.
Who did they get? They got Pretty Boy coach
Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, I heard some people thinking that it was going to be good for Aaron Jones, but then I also thought they kind of ignored Derrick Henry until week 15, and Deion Lewis wasn't doing all this stuff.
Yeah, but they run the ball, and then the offensive coordinator from Jacksonville runs the ball all the time. It's just a running offense that's going to open up a lot of shit for Aaron Rodgers, and they won't abandon the run in the second half. So, anyways, that's more Packers talk. What else are we going to filibuster on? All
right, let's look at some more of these prop bets and then just wagering on the game. You don't need to give me your score prediction per se, but right now what I saw anyway was Patriots.
I have a score.
Well, we'll get to that with Ben.
Okay.
Let's just talk about betting right now. Patriots were 2.5 last I saw. Over under 57.5. What would you pick for both of those?
We talked about this last week, and I'm still having so much fucking trouble deciding this game because I was talking about this today. My brain tells me it's Bill Belichick is going to come up with this fucking game plan, and it's going to be genius, and Tom Brady's going to do almost nothing besides dump off passes. And my heart's like, fuck the Patriots. I watched these garbage guys during the regular season. They're not that good. Tom Brady in the Super Bowl stats. If you go back and look at Logan's article, if you look at Tom Brady's Super Bowls, they just weren't great. He just does not put up great Super Bowls. The defenses do a ton of shit. So I want to take the Rams, and I still don't know where I'm at. I'm on the Rams right now. I might change my mind come Sunday, and I'm still I keep trying to talk myself into the Patriots just because it seems like the smart thing to do.
The one bad thing about Logan's stats, and a lot of them were really telling. I mean, it was pretty impressive to see how, I don't want to say little Brady has done, but I couldn't understand what you said, but just how much credit he gets when it's really not all him. If you go back and look at one of our recent podcast articles, we actually had one guy who's a Patriots fan take the Tom Brady side, and then we had intern Logan come back and do the anti-Brady. And both of them were really good articles. I understand points from both, but the thing Logan left out, so the Patriots didn't win last Super Bowl, but Tom Brady threw for 505 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Tom Brady was not the reason that the Patriots lost that game against the Eagles last year, by any means. So you can say that, the Patriots won all these Super Bowls and it wasn't because of Brady. Well, these ones that they've lost weren't really all because of Brady either.
So, I don't know if you saw, he went on to address in a tweet storm, he didn't want to make it a 5,000-word article, and some guy called him out, so he didn't want to address this whole thing in one article, and he went on and just kept going all the way through the rest of the games, and that was the only fucking game, essentially, that actually stood out as him, standing out, and that was the game they lost.
You want to know why Tom Brady's to blame for that game?
But think about this. The game, you think about Aaron Rodgers.
Apparently you don't.
Look at the games that they've lost, or that game specifically. They lost because of defense, and they win their games, Super Bowl games, because their defense makes outstanding plays in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and then it's just Belichickian, you know? Their defense just is somehow, like, perfect in most of the ways when they win the Super Bowls. I just don't think that team's this way. I think I just chose the Rams for that reason.
I was just going to say, did you give me an answer to the question? Are you taking the
I'm
Rams?
going to talk myself into the Rams, thinking that this defense isn't the greatest that he's ever had.
What concerns me about the Rams here, because as a Dolphins fan, there's nothing more I would want than the Patriots not to win another Super Bowl. Like, I want to cheer for the Rams. I like McVay. I like what he's doing with this offense. But McVay is the same age as you and I. Imagine us having to go into a Super Bowl and coaching against Belichick, who's like statistically there every single year that he's coaching, like every other year that he's ever been a coach. So you're basically taking a brand new guy who's never been there before versus a guy who he's used to being there. It's a disappointment if he's not there. I think there's going to be such a big coaching advantage in this game. I don't know that Tom Brady has to crush it. I will get to my score prediction once Ben rejoins us, but against the spread, anything under 3.5, I'm taking New England.
I'm convinced that is why I like the Rams even. I like the young guy because you know what? If it is me, I'm going in there arrogant as fuck. Like, I can beat this old, outdated piece of shit. I don't back down to him.
Well, you got nothing to lose.
I go after him. What?
Yeah, you kind of have nothing to lose. You almost have to go in with that frame of mind.
And he went all out this year. So you know what? If it's 4th down and 2, if it's 4th down and 1, you can bet your ass Sean McVay isn't going to give the Patriots the ball back. He's going for it.
Yeah, he'll just have to get that penalty again and win it at the end.
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
What do you think about that over-under, 57.5? When I first looked at this, I was thinking this game would be around 52, 53 max. It's 57.5. Do you have a thought on that?
I'm weird. I think the defense for both sides is going to be ramped up. Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh are playing at their best. Aaron Donald's unblockable. The Patriots are going to scheme shit up to, confuse Goff a little bit. So I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as what everybody wants or thinks it's going to be. So I would definitely go under there.
Yeah, I think I have to go under as well. I don't know. I'll look at see what my point total would be, and then I'll make an exact prediction from there. But I'm pretty sure mine went under. You said that you're...
I think it went over, actually. Fuck. I might have to rethink it.
In classic DJ form, you're getting both sides again. I love it. You did mention that your favorite prop bet was going to be the coin toss. Why don't you go ahead and put your answer on record then?
Number one, you guys aren't going to believe this, but I've only won one coin toss out of like 15 years of betting in my entire life. I'm not even, or 10 years. I'm not even exaggerating. I've legitimately only won like one coin toss, and that's
how's that possible?
Statistically impossible, right? I won last year. First time I've ever won, and I always bet the most amount of money on that because it's like statistically your best bet, right?
50-50.
You're going to get it once every other year or whatever. But you know what? Everybody's on this tails never fails and it rhymes shit. Just to be a contrarian, I'm going to make it rhyme, but tails always fails.
Oh.
It rhymes too, and I'm going to go heads this year.
I love it. We're going to be on opposite. I'm going to spoil part of my article then because we're on opposites. The coin toss is going to be the most impactful thing in this game for us because I am going to go with tails. One of the prop bets that I singled out in the article was interesting to me, and I feel like I'll tell you the prop bet. I'll get your opinion, and then I'll give you my theory here. The prop bet is the length of Jared Goff's first touchdown pass. Over or under 11.5 yards?
Oh, that's... I would go under still, man. They get inside that 10 and run a play action. Yeah.
See, when I looked at 11.5, I was like, wow, every single person is going to want to bet this over. That doesn't seem like that long of a touchdown pass.
Because the Patriots don't get beat over the top. They're not going to get beat deep.
Exactly. And I think what this is that line that Vegas puts out on the game that you're like, oh, this is way too good to be true. And everyone's on that too good to be true side. You always want to be on the other side of that. And that's kind of how I think this one is. The Patriots are that bend but don't break defense. I am like definitely like that's one of the ones I want to take. I want the under on this one. I think they'll get close, and I think that first touchdown could be like a 3 or a 5 yard, like just dump pass to a tight end or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're some of the kings of running some great goal line plays that come into a passing situation. So are you sure we can't pause? I'm just playing. Keep going.
Has he messaged you back yet?
Nope.
All right. Well, we could be here all night. This is filibuster.com.
We're going to be here the rest of the night.
All right. Let's look at another prop bet here that I've got. I can't find the one that I wanted to look for here. So this is always a funny one. I always seem, whenever I take this, it seems to go against me. But will there be a defensive score or a 2-point conversion?
There will not be a defensive score, but will there be a defensive score or a 2-point conversion? It seems like there's always a really good chance of there being a 2-point conversion in a game like a big game like this.
You're right.
Somebody's trying to make a move at the end or coming down to the end of the game, something like that. Usually in the last quarter, there's like some kind of 2-point conversion. Is it just any attempt? Just a 2-point conversion?
Any 2-point play, so a safety can get in there as well.
Oh, so it has to be successful.
Yes.
Oof, that's tough. I would go with the odds are going to be against me, but the 2-point conversions are going to happen in these type of games. It seems like, especially with the way the extra point world goes. But end of the game, fourth quarter, Super Bowl, I feel like you can count on a 2-point conversion.
Yeah. We just talked about Tom Brady, and you said, hey, he doesn't always come up big in these big games. So I'm kind of intrigued by his total passing yards. It's set at 282.5. And the Rams don't have, statistically, a great defense. They give up some points. They give up some yards. So which side are you falling on? 282.5 for Tom Brady's passing yards.
I got to go under, man. The dump-offs aren't going to work this game. I think Sean McVay is also scheming, and they know what they like. It's going to make Tom Brady throw downfield. That's what you want out of them. The dump-offs aren't going to get him a million yards like they have been. James White's not going to get 15 fucking receptions in this game. I got to go under, man. I got to go under, man. I've
got two great ones that I'm just looking forward to here. Total rushing yards by Tom Brady. Just guess what that is set at.
2.5.
1.5.
1.5. I knew it was 1.5 or 2.5.
You got to go under, right? Under is the absolute thing there. Even if he scrambles, there's no guarantee. Even if he scrambles, there's no guarantee that goes for farther than a yard.
Yeah, but he's the best QB sneaker ever.
Oh, I didn't think about that. You're right. He does that twice, he's over.
Yeah.
Man, that's a tough one. So what are you going to do? Are you going to go over then because of that? You got to be in such a perfect situation for that play to be called.
You have to be in a perfect. You just have to be in 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1.
Yeah, not a guarantee that happens.
I mean, it seems like it happens a good amount of time.
It really does.
I would go over.
Go over.
Sneaker.
Oh, I'm intrigued by that one. Just because I love that bet because it's so wild. 2 yards and you're done. That's it.
But if he has 2 kneels at the end of the game,
then you're F.
Oh, fuck.
That sucks.
I just put myself in a pretzel.
Right. You have to think about that one a little bit more. I think the next one here is probably everyone's favorite or the prop bet that they're most used to seeing or hearing about. It's the color of liquid that gets dumped on the winning coach's head. Do you have any theories? Do you have any theories though of what you would go with on that?
I was listening to a podcast with a Patriot player, and I think that the Patriots always have lime green, the lime green color or
green.
Yellowish. I can't remember. Fuck, I think it's yellow that the Patriots usually go with.
See, there's a couple of different. It's lime green. There's a couple of different ways to do this. You can do your homework, and you can figure okay, in the NFC or AFC championship game, these are the colors that they used. Odds are they're at least going to have that on the sideline. They should do it again. The Vegas favorite is clear, and I get why. Because regardless of the sideline, you're always going to have water. So that's always a guaranteed thing that someone could grab. The beauty is there's also a Gatorade that's that clearish white that would count for that. So you're almost getting oh, I hate that.
It's so good.
You're almost getting a 2-for-1 though by doing that. But the problem is the odds just aren't all that great.
I think it's going to be lime green.
You're going to go lime green. You'll have to read my article in order to see what I've got there for you, because I've got a different.
Joke's on you, I don't read.
I'll read it to you then. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. Tomorrow I have off work. I'll lay down, put you on speaker, you read me the article.
I read to you.
Only with background music.
How beautiful would that be?
Can you grab me another beer? I'm out. I gotta get we got another hour of this podcast left.
Right? Probably not, but close to at least a half hour.
Yeah, at least an hour. Though.
This isn't a prop bet, but what are your thoughts on this being Rob Gronkowski's final game as a New England Patriot?
Well, Brady said there's 0% chance that he retires, so
right.
I think if Brady doesn't retire, Gronk doesn't leave.
The thing is with Gronk, though, I don't know if Gronk at this point is about legacy. I don't think Gronk is out there like ring chasing. I think
but he wants to play with Brady.
I think he wants to. I don't think he would probably play with anyone else. I think it's New England or nothing. And at a certain point, man.
No, it's Brady or nothing.
It is. I take that back. It's Brady or nothing. But at some point, man, that guy is just going to break down. And I think,
he's already kind of got there.
I shouldn't say that he's smart enough to know that he should get out when he does. Like that doesn't sound right. So maybe he will play another game. But I've got a bold prediction here that this is Rob Gronkowski's final game.
I mean, I could see it both ways, but I just feel like Brady could somehow just talk his dumb ass into. He'd like pet him, he'd like pet him like a little puppy and like
feed him
nice and feed him some treats and be like, it's gonna be okay, you can come back next year. And then he'll just whimper and then be like, okay, I'll come back. Like he's his pet robot.
Right.
He'll just tell him what to do.
Literally is a pet robot. These are great prop bets, and you said you haven't seen really anything yet, so these will all be like brand new to you. But these are the cross-sport prop bets, and what that means is
these fucking prop bets.
It's what do you mean? This is like literally the best part of the Super Bowl.
If your team cross-sport prop bets, I don't like cross-sport prop bets.
Listen, if your team isn't in the Super Bowl, the absolute best thing is drinking a bunch of beers, looking at prop sheets, and making your determination from there. You just gotta pick out a bunch of prop bets because you don't have any other rooting interest in the Super Bowl. So you might as well just come up with a huge list of crazy shit that you're going to bet on, and then just make it happen and try to win a little bit of money on it.
I love prop bets. I don't like cross-sport prop bets. I hate the fucking NBA. I hate all that garbage.
There's not just NBA. There's college basketball ones.
Don't care.
There are golf ones.
I don't like cross-sport prop bets.
So, but guess what, DJ? We're filibustering. We need to do this. For the sake of Ben, we need to do this.
You like how I went off camera, grabbed my beer? You thought I was gone, didn't you? You thought you had to keep talking.
What sucks is I'm going to end up needing another beer at some point, too.
Yeah, my fucking cord's like 6 feet long, and I can walk over to my refrigerator.
It's impressive. I actually wrote about this prop bet on I think I might even talk. I was going to talk about this one about Ben, but I'll talk about it with you. I wrote about this one on the article. The prop bet is Stephen Curry's free throws missed the night before. They play the Lakers. So you got to pick a side here. It's the number of Stephen Curry free throws missed or Rob Gronkowski's touchdowns. That is the prop bet. Hey, I think we got Ben back.
There he is.
I apologize for that, guys. Ran a little long there, but I had that was an interesting call. So
nice.
Breaking news. You want to break some news?
Yeah, we're still live, so you can break news now.
Breaking news, but some follow up on some things, and Ryan Tannehill could be headed to Cincy, and Andy Dalton could be headed to Washington. So.
Hey.
Holy shit! Say that again one more time.
There's some serious potential for Ryan Tannehill to head to Cincinnati and Andy Dalton to be headed to Washington.
Wow.
You don't understand as a Dolphins fan how happy that makes me, and even happier that you didn't say he's heading to Cincinnati and Andy Dalton's heading to Miami. Because if you just said that, I would have just said you traded for Ryan Tannehill 2.0 and get out of here. Go back to your phone call and tell him not to do it.
I think Miami is really, really going to pursue this Kyler Murray thing. I think they really are. And I don't think they have much competition in the top 15 either.
See, I was looking at that, obviously, because I usually go into draft mode by about October, November, because I realize my team is out of it. So I've been looking at it, and what sucks is you've got the Giants, the Jaguars, the Jets, the Raiders.
The Giants are on Haskins. The Jaguars are looking at getting Nick Foles. The Broncos are on lock, and Washington is kind of looking at what else is out there. If they go the Dalton route, they won't be in the market for a first rounder either.
If they go the Dalton route, they won't be in the market for a first rounder.
No, the Washington would hold off and get Will Grier later if that was the case.
Washington sucks at everything they do.
Well, no disagreement there. These are all potential scenarios. They're not set in stone, but there's some things that kind of start to head in one direction. So,
yeah, Ben, while you were gone, we were talking Super Bowl prop bets. We love talking gambling on this podcast. We hammered through a bunch of them. Have you looked at the Super Bowl prop bets? And either way, is there one that you look at every single year that you want to that you pay attention to more than the others?
I have not looked at them. The ones to look at are the first half under is usually a hit. So if you're looking at betting something, the first half under tends to kind of be the way to go.
Do you gamble?
I have been known to lay a wager every now and again.
I love that answer. We were talking. This is the one that you came in on just right now. I was talking with DJ. The prop bet, my favorite one here is, what's the higher number? Is it going to be Rob Gronkowski's touchdowns or missed free throws by Steph Curry the night before when they play the Lakers?
Well, I would bet on Steph Curry missed free throws.
See, I initially thought that
might. Which one is higher or which one is lower?
Oh, which one is higher?
Oh, that Steph will miss more free. Yeah, Steph will miss more free throws than Gronk will have touchdowns. Yes.
See, here's my theory on this one. I did a little homework. Steph Curry has missed 13 free throws the entire season. He's clipping at like 93%. I'd be willing to bet, and he doesn't shoot that many free throws per game either. I'd be willing that more often than not, this is probably going to be a push, but I would take my chances of that robotic Gronkowski. And I told DJ before this, my prediction is this is Rob Gronkowski's last game. I think he can score a touchdown. He doesn't need two. All he needs is one. I don't see Curry missing from the line. So I feel like at worst, I'm going to push here, but I'm going to go with Gronk here.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm out on that bet.
I think that in the red, it's going to be tough. Gronk's not the weapon that he used to be. He's a red zone mismatch guy now, but like really they use White and Michelle,
right.
and whether that's swing pass or just running up the gut. So that's tough. That's one of those things I would probably stay away from just in general. But yeah,
I can't. I'm a degenerate. I love those cross sport betting. You can't stop me.
Like with a passion.
DJ, you wanted to ask Ben about a man named Dan.
Okay, so this is literally, I have no side to this whatsoever. I just kind of fallen into this on Twitter. What's the deal with Dan Dockich? Because I see a lot of people, not just you, I see a lot of it, but they just aren't fans of him. And I only see him in college basketball or hear him. What's going on with Dan Dockich?
So Dan Dockich, I put out a report that back in mid-December, about 2 weeks before the season ended, that quietly Chuck Pagano's name was starting to come up in coaching search stuff. And Dan Dockich, who is friends with Ryan Grigson, Ryan Grigson's agent, really, has been a guy who ripped Pagano to shreds on his radio program somewhere in Indianapolis there or whatever. Got on there and tried to make fun of it, said it wasn't true, that nobody was looking at Chuck Pagano, that I must be paid by Chuck Pagano's agent to make those things up, et cetera. So, we got into it a little bit. Come to find out, I'm like, I don't understand why you would think that people do that, like, what am I'm out here buying my Benz with this, Pagano money? Because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So we went back and forth for a little while. Come to find out, he does take money from agents to say things that aren't true. And then, he does, not me. And then come to find out 2 weeks later, Chuck Pagano interviewed for the head coaching job with the Packers. Then he interviewed with the Broncos and wound up with a defensive coordinator job with the Bears. And so, this idea that, obviously I was right. I was completely vindicated. And Dan, who just makes stuff up, look like an idiot. And then he tried to talk about me on air, and that was the problem. Like, Twitter's one thing, but then he got on air and tried to say that I didn't know things and this, that, and the other. And so I called his program director, and I told him to keep his name out of my mouth, or he was going to have a problem when I show up at the combine. And this, that, and the other. Dan tried to tough talk and act like he was going to fight me or something. And I'm like, Dan, I'm a 15-year veteran with 5 years in special operations. There's no chance you're going to fight me. This is not going to happen. I don't know why you're trying to fake like you're a tough guy or whatever. Your claim to fame was that you shut Jordan down years ago, and ever since then nobody's ever heard of you. You're a disgraced former basketball coach that literally no one will hire, which is why you're in talk radio. Don't try to act like a badass. This is not something that's going to happen. And so that's kind of what happened. Is his program director talked to him and he shut up real fast.
What? Yeah, and all I know about Dan Dawkins is he really likes Indiana, and he doesn't stop talking about Indiana, and I can't handle that. But that's about it. But that I had to ask, because you're not the only one I've seen kind of like talk down about Dan Dawkins. So then I just had to inquire, because I missed the whole fucking train on that one.
Dan is a complete clown. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. He pretends that he does, and he takes money from agents to say things that aren't true in an effort to hype things up. And that's that should tell you everything you need to know. If a guy will take money to say things that aren't true, then that's everything you need to know about that guy's credibility from the get-go.
Let's say that you wouldn't have given your resume to Dan there, and he would have actually tried to fight you at the combine. What's the first move that you're going with to take that man to the ground?
Say that. Okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought on that question there. You did what now? You want me to take Dan down?
Hypothetically, if you were to, you don't want to hurt the old man. Like, you don't want to like knock him out or anything, but you want to get him to the ground. You want to pin him, and then you just want to get in his face and say, "Listen, old man, I can take you down anytime." What move are you using on him to get him to the ground?
I wouldn't use the move at all. I just walk up to him and say, "Look, if you want to make this a thing, there's nothing but air and opportunity between us, and I can give you the first punch."
Air and opportunity. That must have been a quote you've heard before.
I love that.
It's one I used at a bar fight once.
Oh.
How did that turn out?
Liked it, so I stuck with it.
All right, so now that we're on bars and fights, do you want to hang out with this summer and then just get hammered, get loaded, and then record a podcast?
I'm not sure you guys would want that.
What?
Trust me, we are from fucking Wisconsin. We want that.
I tell you what, one of those the aforementioned bar fight actually happened in Wisconsin. Nice. It was in Sparta, Wisconsin.
Oh, we are from right next to Sparta, by the way.
Okay, well, the fort right there I was stationed up there, and
that's hilarious.
I had to go do some things. So we went to Sparta, and we went to this bar, and it was like all somber. It was weird. And so like we're sitting there, and this is Sparta, just being a weirdo, and that whole thing. And come to find out, like, we're interrupting a wake or something, which I don't know why you're having a wake at a bar to begin with, but that was happening. But we were just acting like idiots, and so they took exception to that, and we were like, okay, well, we'll stop. And then somebody threw a beer, and then it escalated from there.
Oh, you were at Fort McCoy then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are literally from like La Crosse, Wisconsin, so.
Oh, okay, all right.
Nice.
We know all about that area. That's awesome. So you're coming back this summer. You want to get lit and then record a podcast? I'm in the drink with you right now.
I had not planned on being up there, but maybe I'll make a detour. We'll see what happens. Maybe I can make one of my training camp stops up that way.
There
yes,
it is.
Absolutely. And if you do, it's happening, like legitimately.
Yeah, dude. Put it on the board.
We'll make it work.
Ben, the last time you were on, you made a claim that you liked Better Call Saul more than Breaking Bad. So I got to check in with you, see if you've got any new Netflix recommendations for us, for the listeners. What's been on the tube recently, outside of football?
Well, I tell you what, I watched that Polar movie with Mads Mikkelsen. The movie itself is crap. It's the script is garbage and whatever else. But Mads Mikkelsen's performance in that is worth the watch. He's kind of a badass. So if you're into stuff like that, it's worth a watch. Punisher season 2. The first 3 quarters of it are pretty good. The ending, meh, but first 3 quarters of it were pretty good. What else have I been watching? Trying to think. I went back and started watching The Mentalist again because I got bored. So there's that.
I think one of my favorite things about having Ben on is how sure he is with his takes. He's just like, all right, like this actor is good, movie's trash. script sucks. This sucks. Like, and I'm not offended by any of it because I've never even heard of it. I just love the certainty. I love the certainty. That's what I crave for in life. It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is the Loaded Box podcast.
Yeah.
If I wanted to be on if this was the Week Takes podcast, then I wouldn't be on it.
Yeah, fuck it. I do that little board thing too. I don't know what it is. It's hard for me to get into a new show. So then for some reason, I don't know why. There's no reason for that. I just go back to the old shows that I used to love when they were new. Like right now, I'm rewatching Homeland. I'm going through fucking Game of Thrones. I don't know what it is, but I need to move on to something new.
I'm kind of in that same boat. I'll get on something and I'll be like, okay, this is it, and I'll watch that all the way through, and then I generally got to have a season or two so I can binge watch something because I cannot be. I'm not episodic. I can't sit here and watch an episode and then be like, all right, let me wait till next week to find out what happened. That's
Right.
just not that guy.
Right.
Unless it's The Bachelor.
Get that out of here. Ben, have you watched the Fire documentary?
No, but that is on my queue to watch. I'm going to watch those this weekend. I'm starting with the Netflix one, and then I'm going to do the Hulu.
Okay.
I watched the Netflix one, and Hulu is on my list for maybe tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, I've watched the Netflix one only. So next time we go on, I got to put this in the notes. We got to get your feedback on that because there is a certain part that I wanted to bring up, but I'm going to save it for the next time. I don't want to ruin it right now.
Okay.
DJ, what else you got for Ben?
All right, so recently you decided to unblock everybody on Twitter.
Huge mistake.
Right after, okay, well, you kind of started asking. I go, why and how is that going?
Yeah, that was. Honestly, it was all right. There was some guys on there that got blocked that were thankful and grateful for that. But the initial, when people found out that some of these guys that found out that they were unblocked and that were just morons, I blocked the guy. Like, this guy found out he was unblocked, and I literally blocked. My first block occurred 10 minutes after I'd unblocked everybody because the guy was such an idiot. Some Redskin fan blog guy. The guy is a total moron. I've never met somebody just that dumb.
I mean, you technically haven't met him. He just shows up in your mentions.
Well, right. I've never encountered someone that stupid.
Twitter is a dangerous place, man. You will run into anything, especially
Twitter. Hold on, Ben. I'm going to put this out there, and I'm going to make it a little weird, though. I'm a little upset that you haven't followed me on Twitter yet. Just going to call you out on that.
I haven't?
Oh,
No,
what's the deal, Ben?
I only have your DMs from when you DM'd me a long time ago, so I could sneak back into your DMs and talk dirty to you. But yeah, you haven't followed me on Twitter yet.
Oh, I was probably trying to keep those DMs private, man. I do tend to have, I'll get busy. I mean to follow people, and I usually do so. I wait till after a podcast because if I don't like the people, then I don't want to follow them, But I'll forget sometimes.
Does he follow me?
If I have a bad experience on a podcast, I totally won't follow those people. But,
man.
If I wouldn't come back on. So, so that's I guess that's a mistake on my part. I'll have to look into that.
The best thing is we're in some sort of purgatory because we've had Ben on before. He doesn't follow us on Twitter, but he came back on the podcast.
And he told us, I know we're best friends by now, so let's lock that in.
I seriously must have gotten distracted or something. I don't know. I have to look that. When I get done here tonight, I'll look into that.
Yeah, you fucking better.
Ben, the most important question on the podcast is probably the one that I'm going to tell you right now. Do you take the time to wash your feet in the shower, or is just the soap and the water that get splashed around enough for you?
God, no, you have to wash, man. First of all, people are showering all wrong. You're all showering all wrong.
Explain.
What you need to do is you need to get there, get in that shower, let the water coach you. Then what you do, turn the water off.
What?
Okay?
What the fuck? That's so close.
Hold on. Turn the water off. Soap up. Let it marinate. Let the soap do what it needs to do. Let it soak. Let the soap get in there and do what it's supposed to do. Don't just leave running water where you soap an area for 6 seconds and the water washes it away. You need to let that marinate. You season a steak, you let that stuff sit for half an hour. You're not. What are you going to let with your body? You're just going to use 6 seconds of soap? This is ridiculous. People are showering all wrong. All wrong.
So I'm convinced. Okay, I know you're a fan of Uncle Chaps on Barstool. Is this Is this like a military thing? You guys, he double shampoos. There's a second lather. And he says,
right.
You need to lather a second time. Is this something you guys learned in the military?
Well, I don't know if it's strictly military, but I'll tell you that military guys see other military guys who are nasty with their showering habits and are like, nope, not me.
What I don't understand is the fact is most people, and I'm saying that just because I do it, so I'm just saying that I'm the norm. I shower every single day. I use the soap. I'm not turning the water off. I'm just continuing to put it on me, and it falls off. It's not that I'm showering once a week where I need to let it sit in me and like marinate me. I am doing that, and I'm not taking the time to wash my feet either. I am kicking around soapy water. Like I don't feel the need to have to wash that.
You're standing in standing water, like the runoff, like the dirt and the funk from your upper chest area is what you're bathing your feet in?
Well, what's on my chest that's so dirty? Like I have a clean chest.
Wait a second. Is soap?
No. You just said you shower once a day. That's not acceptable. You shower when you get up first thing, and you shower before you go to bed, so you get into a clean bed.
That's
Otherwise,
not healthy.
you're letting that funk into the bed too. You're rolling around in your own filth every night.
That's not healthy. You can't be showering twice. How do you have that nice a hair? And are you washing your hair twice?
You don't have to wash your hair with like shampoo. You can wash your hair with like baking soda. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with that.
How dry is your skin?
I mean, I use a quarter moisturizer soap bar, so it's not dry at all.
Is a soap bar not dirty after using it one time?
Well, and you wash the soap with another bar of Spouts, kid. You don't really
Right.
I mean, your towel not dirty after you dry one time? I mean, no, the soap, it takes care of itself, but you got to run the water over the soap before you put it on your body. You can't let that bacteria that sat there between the 12 hours between you took your last shower fester and then put it back on your body.
I tell you what, the rest of this week, I am going to lather up. I'm going to turn the water off. I'm going to let it marinate. How long do I have to let it marinate?
I mean, 10 minutes, you know?
No.
You don't have to. 5 is acceptable for a first timer, but you turn that water off. Let that stuff, generally, the way I do it is I get in there. Okay, we're going to describe my whole showering routine. Everybody, right now, picture me naked. Okay.
Yeah.
You get the water over, you rinse the first layer of film off. Then you grab the soap. All right. You apply the soap top to bottom all the way through. You wash to the tops and bottoms of your feet. You got to get that bacteria out of there. That's what causes stench.
Wait. Let me interject real quick. Are you using your hand or a rag?
Well, I don't use a rag, but you can use the loofah if you've got the gel, or if you're a bar soap guy, just use your hand. Just use the bar. It's fine.
Sorry.
So
continue.
You put the water on. You bar soap up. Once you get the soap on, then you apply the shampoo. Okay? Apply the shampoo. Let the shampoo sit 2-3 minutes. By that time, your body's marinated about 5. You rinse that off, all right? You turn the water back on, you rinse that off. Then you go back for a second soaping, all right? You put the conditioner in, you do the face wash, and then you turn around and rinse all that off. And you're clean at that point.
You are way more active in the shower than I am. To be honest.
It's not like a party in there, but you need 10 to 15 minutes to get yourself clean. Your grooming habits are important.
That's a full workout.
I am going to need to wake up an extra hour early in order to do all that, because I'm going to have to get out of the shower, check my notes that you just gave.
I'm not asking you to give yourself a pedicure, dude. I'm just telling you, you need to lather up. Let that soap do its job. Let it marinate.
Have you ever taken a sink shower? And what I mean by that is, after I go to the gym sometimes, I don't want to shower again at night sometimes. So I'll stand there almost naked, just in the sink, and I'll wash my hands and I'll wash my face with soap and water. And then I'll just take water in my hand and I'll just slap my body with it. And that's a sink shower. And I consider that being pretty clean.
That's not a shower. That's just slinging water on yourself and telling yourself that you're cleaner than you are.
Well,
I mean, I went 2 weeks without a shower in Iraq one time. I nearly died from my own stench. I don't want to do that. I don't want to smell like that. It's 2 showers a day. That's the rule. First thing when you get up, last thing before you go to bed.
I ate so much pizza once and didn't shower for 3 days, and I smelled like a pepperoni pizza. That's my only thing I can compete with your Iraq story.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Question: I don't know where the fuck we just went, honestly, where this just turned, but we are in Iraq. So let's bring this back to America right now, and let's pop back. This is kind of about the Super Bowl, but not really, but kind of. I saw that you retweeted. I'm talking Barstool again. Tweet about Dave Portnoy getting kicked out. What was the point of that for you?
No, it was just me being smug.
Why?
Because Portnoy sucks. Barstool sucks.
Oh my God, I love you and I love everything about you, but we're so far the opposite of that. That's their whole point, is to get kicked out of that.
Right, that's my point, though. I mean, what they offer is the Maxim magazine of sports takes. It's like the lowest common denominator kind of stuff. There's no actual analysis. It's just people doing teenage pranks for fun. And
I get relatability.
But I mean, it's not. There comes a point where you're like, okay, I'm X amount of years old, and this is actually no longer funny.
DJ's just not there yet.
I'm never gonna get there, I don't think. I just saw him retweet it, and I'm like, I know this is some kind of dig in.
Portnoy and I got into it earlier in the day. That was part of the problem. So he and I got into it because I was like, I was laughing at that stupid narrative the Patriots are trying to float about being an underdog. You can't be the underdog if you're third straight Super Bowl. I mean, look, what kind of clown is trying to pass that off? And so Barstool put out a tweet that's saying the media is mad that the Patriots are underdogs. And I was like, oh, good Lord. So I said, I can't remember exactly what it was I said, but I was like something about the team that was a preseason favorite to be in the Super Bowl and checks notes, was at the Super Bowl 365 days ago, is suddenly an underdog. I don't know. Anyway, I made fun of it. So Portnoy, tried to make fun of me or something. He said something about I use a Gmail address, which I do as a burner on my Twitter bio. And, then
your burner email now too. What the fuck is going on here?
Everybody has my burner Gmail. I don't give my professional one out unless it's, because I try to keep that pretty streamlined. But but the response to that, he's like, well, use a Gmail or whatever. Oh, well, if you need to, you can get at me at my other email address, which is your girl got taken by Soul Cycle at Dave Portnoy.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So he didn't like that too much, and that's kind of where it shut down.
You know what? I hate the Patriots talk, and I hate everything about their Patriots shit right there. But I don't know. I'm on the Barstool side for most part, but the whole underdog narrative is a joke, and they're trying to be the Eagles of last year. Essentially, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. I don't hate Barstool. It's just not my thing. But when they and I remember what it was. I called them a local Patriots fan blog. That was what I did.
That's annoying.
Yeah. He didn't like that, and I'm like, well, I mean, everybody's laughing because that's the way it seems.
It is. That is true. I would 100% agree with that.
Should we bring the hammer down and do some final predictions for Super Bowl 53?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, DJ, it sounds like you kind of talked yourself into betting on the Rams. So what's your score prediction?
I actually think I bet. What was the over-under?
57 and a half.
Okay, so I did go under. My score prediction was 31-26 Rams. Just because I want the Rams to win.
What great logic there. I'll save Ben, our guest, for the end. I got the Patriots 34-27. I'm actually predicting that score exactly, and I'm predicting who scores. I've got touchdowns from Sony Michel, James White, Gronk, because he's going to score more touchdowns and Curry misses free throws. Julian Edelman and Gostkowski's kicking 2 field goals. That makes 34. Rams gets their touchdowns from Gurley, Brandon Cooks, one of the tight ends, and 2 field goals from Greg DeLeg, who makes 57-yard field goals look like 12-yarders. So I got Patriots 34-27. Ben, bring it home. What's your Super Bowl prediction?
I think a lot of scoring drives. I say 28-24 Rams, and I say the first half under is a hit and the second half over.
I like that. That's actually so if I bet those and lose them, can you take 10% of my losses?
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Your hero's going to go high rolling as well.
Wait. So you would predict the Rams? Sorry, I'm going to just go off for a second. You predict the Rams to win the game?
Yeah.
Why?
Mostly because I have a lot of acquaintances on that coaching staff.
Oh, okay. Like who?
Acquaintances.
Do you know Sean McVay at all?
Yes.
So how come you're not a head coach?
Well, that was the thing. I accidentally bumped into Sean McVay one time and said, excuse me, and then I received 3 head coaching offers this offseason.
You just didn't want
Yeah, I'm too busy to be coaching a team right now.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? We got some flag football going on down here, and we're looking for a head coach. So feel free to come on over to Wisconsin and coach our team.
Yeah, no, I know Sean. I know Zach Taylor. I know
Taylor.
John Russell. Those guys.
You know the thing that worries me about Zach Taylor? He played quarterback at Nebraska.
Well, I mean, Sean played quarterback as well at No Name University. So
yeah, but you can't play quarterback in Nebraska. I'm a big Nebraska fan. I watched that Nebraska team. I just couldn't have that guy as my coach because he played in that offense, and that probably has no bearing on anything. But I've already been poisoned by that.
Sometimes guys who are mediocre quarterbacks as players make the best coaches because they're great minds. They had to compensate for limited tools. I don't know that Zach's that guy, but I know Zach and his brother press pretty well. So
it's not even his fault, really. It's just the Nebraska thing.
It drains all the talent out of real quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Before we leave you, Ben, I just want to say thanks again for coming on. Do you want to tell the listeners real quick where they can find you on Twitter and anywhere else?
Yeah, they can unfollow me everywhere at Allbright NFL.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Next time you see Adam Gase, tell him what's up. I feel bad for his eyes. To all the listeners out there, check us out on Twitter at LoadedBox. Check out our website, loadedboxpodcast.com. Stay tuned for that prop bet blog. We'll be back sometime after the Super Bowl, as long as DJ and I are at least still alive after this cold streak that we're going to be going on. Hopefully the cold streak and weather doesn't follow us in betting, because that'd be super depressing. Check us out on iTunes. Check us out on Google Play, YouTube, wherever you find podcasts, we're likely available. So thanks again to Ben. Ben, stay on for a second. And DJ, why don't you go ahead and send us out?
Cheers. Bye.